Samantha Haynes, and I am a dance teacher here in the OKC area. And I'm also a teaching artist here at Arts Council OKC. And today I am joined by Kelsey Renee Faulk. She is also a dance teacher here in OKC. And I'm just so excited to talk to you today. I feel like we have so many mutual friends in the dance community. I think we're even like friends on Facebook, but I've never actually like sat down and like talked to you and got to know you. So I'm just really excited to talk to you today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course.
Excited.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Have you always lived in Oklahoma?
I have. I was born and raised here in Oklahoma. The majority of my family is from here. Always in the Oklahoma City area. As a matter of fact, the dance studio that I own and teach in now is right down the street from the house I grew up in.
Oh, that's awesome.
Same little small district and right in the heart of OKC. So
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, and I want to hear about your studio later too.
Yeah.
So how did you get into dance in the first place?
Well, I actually grew up, before I did dance, I did a little bit of theater. And so theater was always a part of my life. Theater, music, lots of musical theater, which of course involves dancing.
Yes.
And so I was always singing and dancing around the house. My parents found a great musical theater camp to put me in.
Okay.
And when they found that place, the instructor, the dance instructor and choreographer for the show at the time was the owner of the dance studio that I started at.
Okay.
So I, really loved the dancing portion of things, introduced my parents to this dance instructor and went from there.
Awesome.
It was just something I always loved and really had a passion for, and it stuck. So.
Yeah. So what style was your favorite growing up to study? Did you have a favorite? That's always like a question that I get asked and I have a hard time answering.
I did. My favorite back then is definitely not my favorite now, interestingly enough. I started in tap.
Okay.
And
that makes sense with musical theater.
Yes. I started in tap. I had this great obsession with like Ginger Rogers, Fred Astaire, Jim Kelly, watching lots of black and white musicals growing up, and so that was a huge obsession of mine. And those were the very first classes I took. I added ballet later on, added jazz later on. And then my favorite style now, I would have to say, would be modern.
Yes.
I actually didn't add modern until high school when I was asked to fill in for a dancer that was not able to be in a recital.
Gotcha.
Had to learn a modern dance in 3 classes and then perform it. I had never done modern before. Awesome. But it kind of was hook, line, and sinker right there for me.
Yeah.
I was stuck, and I was like, oh, this movement makes sense to me. So
that's awesome. You got to study modern in high school. I didn't even get to study real modern technique until college. Did you study dance after high school or do anything professional after high school?
I went to UCO for a little while. I was a dance education major there. I was not able to finish, but I did a lot of, I continued to study at the studio that I grew up in. And the studio that I grew up at is actually the studio I started teaching at.
Okay, so tell me about that a little bit. So like transitioned ownership?
Yes.
Okay.
So I started dancing at Everything Goes Dance Studio when I was 7 years old.
How long has that studio been around?
We opened in 1996.
Okay.
So we are now we're in the heart of our 26th season right now.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So I started dancing there when I was 7 years old and took classes there up until through college as well. I continued to take extra classes there, worked with my instructors and my dance mentors, and then when I graduated from high school, was able to start teaching as well.
Okay. Started
teaching there for a while, and then unfortunately, our original owner, Shannon Calderon Primo, passed away. It's been 6 years now. And she passed over ownership to an interim owner for a while, and then that interim owner passed ownership over to me. So the same studio that I grew up in and was a home for me for many, many years as a kid.
That's crazy.
I am now the owner of. and artistic director of.
Did you see yourself like growing up like, oh yeah, one day I want to own a dance studio, or did it just kind of like happen and like fall in your lap and you're like, this is the thing?
Yeah, I didn't. Growing up, I always wanted to perform. And so it was something, you know, I really wanted to, as I got older, I realized I really wanted to teach. I really felt connected to that side of things and working with kids.
Yes.
But it wasn't until I was older and I started to get experience in management, as far as like other jobs went. I got experience in management and the business side of things, and that was sort of how things progressed. I realized that, you know, studio ownership also involves all those things, and so the pieces kind of all connected, and here I am. So
that's awesome.
Something that was really important to Shannon when she first opened this studio was that, well, two things: that dance was accessible to as many people as possible.
Yes.
We serve a lot of lower income families, and so that's something we try to maintain and keep up. And dance styles, we offer ballet, tap, jazz, point. We do offer traditional modern dance, as well as at the moment we have Scottish Highland, we have flamenco, we have Mexican folklorico.
Oh, that's awesome.
And hip hop, and we also we're one of the only studios that offers breakdancing too.
Yeah, and I love that. I really feel like that is so true of all the different styles, like inform each other so much.
Yes,
so the more you can study and like kind of diversify,
absolutely,
it's so helpful. Okay, well now getting kind of to the meat of our interview, we have a little setup here. We wanted to talk about teaching at the preschool level.
Yes.
So I've heard you have some tricks up your sleeve.
I do. Yes. So I have a nice little, my table full of tricks here. So I'll kind of just go through and tell you what I do with some of these things.
Yeah, please.
And some of these things I also use for older dancers too.
Okay.
So they come in handy all over the place.
Awesome.
But a few things that I know that I wish that I had known when I first started teaching.
There's so much when you're first starting
that
you look back later and you're like, oh, what was I thinking, or why didn't I know this then?
Absolutely,
So fill us in.
So something that I definitely have learned over my years of working with that age is to not be afraid to abandon your plan.
Yes, absolutely, I get that.
That's what my bag of tricks is for. And it also helps with the visual and tangible aspects of learning too. You can see I have some stuffies here. I have my wonderful, this is Miss Sparkles, who we call in the studio.
Unicorns are always so popular.
Yes. And then Ellie the elephant, which is actually our studio mascot.
Oh, so cute.
So for these, they're great to have on hand, especially if I have a kid that's having a rough day and just needs something extra to hold to them. And even a kid that's having, a little bit separation anxiety.
Yes.
That's a great tool as well. I also use them in our leaps. So whenever I'm teaching any sort of leap for kids at that age, I have my little unicorn box here, which also holds my stickers.
Yes. Can't forget the stickers.
Yes.
They'll remind you if you forget.
They will remind you that it is sticker time. So I have all my stickers in here. But what I'll do is when they're first learning leaps, it's scary to be able to jump over something that high. Some of them are still learning to balance on one foot. And so being able to take one foot off the ground and jump over something is a little bit scary. So putting something soft on top is fun but also safe. Gives it something that has a little bit of cush, so that if they do trip over it or they do fall, you get that squish of the stuffy on top.
Yes.
First. So that's something really important that I've noticed. I started with just boxes at the beginning, and then you get stubbed toes and you get hurt knees and all that kind of thing. So adding something squishy on top just makes it more exciting and makes it, definitely.
And it's the mascot. You can't hurt the mascot.
Well, yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it gives it a little bit of extra height. I use this even for my K-firsters. So gives it a little bit of extra height and, adds a little height. A couple other things that I have here, so I'll kind of just move this out of the way.
Okay. What is a snowflake? I'm curious about
So I have, this is my snowflake. I have a bunch of foam shapes. So this is just one of them. You can get these at Hobby Lobby, super cheap. That little box is from Hobby Lobby, just a little photo box. And they have super cute fun patterns and things like that. You could even use a shoe box, and if you want to make it cute, you could paint it, whatever you want. But my foam shapes, I use them as markers. Because in my classroom I'll use polydots a lot, which I'm sure you're probably familiar with.
Oh yeah.
Polydots are a lifesaver. They are wonderful. They are wonderful. I use them for even my older kids. They are great to be able to give them their spot at the beginning of class, and you make your class circle. They're great to be able to just pick up and then you make your line across the floor, or you're able to create an obstacle course, and they have things that they can actually tangibly hop on.
Yes.
So I use my snowflake with my polydots and use it as sort of a different setting. Sometimes, because these are a little more slippery, we'll do turns on them. So with my snowflake, sometimes we'll do turns on them because it's a little more slippery. And so what I'll do is I'll have them set it on the floor, and it'll be part of an obstacle course. You know, you're doing bunny hops across their purple polka dots, and then they get 1 foot on, and they're able to try a 1 foot turn, so it's a little easier to spin on their snowflake.
I love that.
Helps with coordination too, and is great for, you know, trying to master that one-footed balance. For polydots, another thing that I will do that has been a great learning tool for me that I started this year was that I'll do a hopscotch.
Yes.
So I'll do different colors. Now I have all my rainbow colors today, but I'll do, you know, 2 reds and then 2 oranges and then a single yellow. And so they have to do a hopscotch, and it teaches them to be able to hop on 1 foot, which is, you know, definitely something you have to learn.
Yes.
But poly spots are absolutely wonderful. They're great. I use them for my older kids too. For older kids, teaching things like jazz squares or ball changes.
Yes, I do that too. They love that.
I feel like I felt so restricted as a pre-K teacher at the beginning when I first started teaching pre-K, because you're so ingrained in teaching technique.
Yes.
And you don't realize that for a 3-year-old, technique is being able to hop on 1 foot and is being able to follow directions and work together as a team and be kind to your friends and you know, all those really simple things. And so just not being afraid to be simple and silly.
Yes. Never be afraid to be silly.
Don't be afraid to be silly. My theater background comes in handy. I use accents all the time.
Yes, they love the silly voices.
As far as having tangible things to do, of course, we have magic wands. These are just homemade magic wands, wooden dowels from Hobby Lobby with ribbon hot glued to them. You know, we've got blues and we have pink ones at the studio as well. We'll do follow along dances with those, so I'll put a song on and then all move around the room, and it's a very good, like, make sure you're copying the teacher and what she's doing. Same thing with our scarves as well. And this is great for hand-eye coordination too. One of their favorite things to do is to be able to throw it and then catch it.
Yes.
So being able to catch it, you know, you have a slower movement than a ball or something like that, and it's great for them to be able to keep their eyes on it and to keep them focused. And I like to ask them, how many different things can you do with it?
Yes.
You know, show me something new that I haven't seen. So I always have a book up my sleeve. Always, because there are sometimes those days that you just have to sit down and read a book. And that's okay. That's totally okay.
And it can be so easy too when you're reading like children's books to quickly, as you're reading the story, to suddenly like, oh, like this is happening, like the rain is falling, so let's stand up and like do some kind of movement.
Exactly.
And then get back to the story.
Exactly.
So then they're learning how to tell a story with their body, which is a lot of what dance is.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I need to bring some more books in my classroom. I haven't done that in a while. Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites, and especially because I have, my classes are not just little girls. I have a lot of little boys in there too.
Yes, I love
yeah.
in class.
Yeah, so this is a great unisex book for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just one of those ballerina books.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nice. It's short and sweet. And then it's very descriptive. So again, if I wanted to say, show me how the monkeys are dancing on this page, or show me how show me what the giraffe did, then they can actually stand up and be able to illustrate that with their bodies.
Yes.
So,
well, thank you so much for sharing with us today. That was so fun. I definitely picked up a couple little tricks that I don't think I've used yet, so I'll be incorporating them in my classroom if you don't mind.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. The only other thing I didn't bring with me too, I have a big whiteboard and a dry erase marker in my pre-K classrooms, and something that I am not afraid to do is to write out words. Give them ballet vocabulary.
Oh yeah.
They learn it so quickly, and at that age they're learning new words every single day. So being able to show them a chasse and then show them the word chasse and then tell them what chasse actually means, and all those pieces can connect so much earlier.
Yeah, incorporating all the styles of learning all at once.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much. This has been so much fun. I love chatting with you today. Maybe we can have you back again soon.
I would love that. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you so much.
Thanks.
We'll talk later.
Awesome.